One of the biggest things people ask us all the time is, should I franchise this business or make it a corporate model? And so there's pros and cons to each, but my favorite example is this Insomnia Cookies. So I happened to drive by it the other day. And so this Insomnia Cookies only needs about 800 square feet. It only needs one employee to run it. It needs minimal equipment. It's like a little oven, and it's incredibly inexpensive to duplicate. And so then if you had a business that cost 500 to $1 million to open, like we just met with this guy who did a pet business, and he's like, just to open one of these up, it's 500 to $1 million. So let's talk about which is better, franchising, or if you're going to do the corporate model, and how you make the decision.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a better, but I mean, when you're coming down to the decision, it reminds me always of the Craig Rochelle thing. You can have growth, you can have control, but you usually can't have both. And what I take that to in this is, with a corporate model, you're going to have control. I mean, you can have who's the employees, what they're going to do, what they're going to sell, how it's going to operate. The problem with that is it slows down growth because you have control, because you can only do it based on however much capital and how much bandwidth you have to get new managers in, to get new employees in, to run a process that way. But it takes all the same things in a model as it does on a franchise. But the franchise side of it is a lot easier, but you lose control, because they're going to pick when they're going to come into Insomnia Cookie if you want. If it's a franchise and they don't show up till 10 and you want them to run at 9, you don't have that control anymore. If they make the batch with 7 instead of 12, then they run an inefficiency and it costs them in margins. And so you lose that in the franchise model, but you can open up a lot more because they're covering the lease, they're hiring the employees, and you're moving all those pieces off. If the model really works well and it sells a ton of cookies, then you're going to make a lot of money. Moving to the other model where the other guy was talking about the pet thing, it was insane to me, because he was running a corporate model and now he wanted to run to a franchise model. And he said, I'm going to run slow in franchise. That's an oxymoron, because you're getting this small margin. So if you were making $150 on something and you were going to do 3 of them at a time, you're going to get 6% of revenue and do 1 every 3 months. That won't make sense. You need to do 10 a month to get that 6% to add up to any number that if you weren't, you just run the corporate model.
Yeah. So let me just kind of summarize what I just heard you say. So with the Insomnia Cookies, by the way, Insomnia Cookies is a corporate model. And the reason why it's a corporate model is because in their mind, they're like, why would we give away all these royalties and long-term control when you can own the locations yourself? Because it's such a low-cost, simple business. And when they're doing corporate stores, actually, if it's only, $40,000 is what I'm estimating that it opens for Insomnia Cookie. The footprint is 800 square feet. You can run the whole place with one employee, can run the whole location. The simple systems can be taught quickly. It's a repeatable process that looks the same every time. So for me, that one makes sense to be a corporate model. Once you have these models where it costs $200,000, anything over $50,000 to open up a location, in my opinion, it's better to franchise it. Would you agree?
Yeah, but then you just got to go fast. And at the same time, you're minimizing how many people can do it, because there's not a ton of people that have 800,000 to go into it, which is why things like Chick-fil-A or things like that partner with you on it, and now you're doing it, but then they're also taking a much larger amount of money back from you. So the more expensive it is, the bigger your franchise fee needs to be, essentially, and that's where the double-edged sword hits.
Yeah, and so if you, in your mind, you say, okay, I want to keep ownership, I want to keep the profits, I want to maintain quality control, I want to build long-term enterprise. The example I think of when I think about corporate location is Panda Express. My son loves Panda Express. I would love to meet the CEO of Panda Express. I think he's done an incredible job. And, he's kept that experience flawless every time. It tastes the same every time. It's run really well. I'm sure those locations actually cost a lot more and to open up those buildings. And a lot of times he buys the locations as well. But he's kept it a corporate model. But I'm sure it's not been without a lot of work and a lot of hustle and grind. So, but he's done a good job with it. But in my opinion, I would never recreate that. I would create that as a franchise model. I would not do it a corporate. Heads up to him, good job to him. But I don't think that's a good model that I would do as a franchise, as a corporate model.
No, it had to be a lot of hard work, a lot of uphill battle. I mean, because you had to get enough of those going to get your cost of a stove or grill or all of those things down. Even while you had a checklist of it, you needed to drive that cost down, and that's hard. That's hard to do. You have to have enough volume to have the ability to drive it down.
Yeah. So in my opinion, if you're deciding between franchising and corporate expansion, ask yourself 2 questions. Can I open the location for under $50,000? Can 1 or 2 people successfully run the entire operation? If not, yes. Can you do a corporate model just like Panda Express did? Yes, but is the juice worth the squeeze? That's what I always say. It's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? In my opinion, heck no. I want nothing to do with that. That sounds like way too much work. Who wants to do it, right? Any other last minute tidbits that you have on corporate versus franchise? Because he's the king. Over 100 franchises he did. So just so you know, I think it's a really big deal that you guys need to understand this. Less than 5% of all people have ever created a franchise with more than 100 people. Less than 5% of all franchises in the world. So creating over 100 is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so going to the franchise model, it has friction. I mean, the corporate model, your friction is hiring the right talent and the cost. In the franchise side of it, the friction is you have disclosures and people may not have clarity and they may not run it right. I mean, so you've got to have those 2 things and just really focus on how you're going to attack those 2 problems, whichever model you go with.
Yeah, and I'll say one last thing. My mom always says, know thyself. And for you, you need to decide, do you want to keep ownership? Do you want to keep all the profits? Do you want to maintain all the quality control? Do you want to build a long-term enterprise? And, some people, different people have different personalities, and you have to know thyself and know, like, if you are more of a control freak, you might have to do more of the corporate model, because when you have a franchise, they never run it as good as you. Ever, ever, ever. It's close. But if you're okay with 95% or 90% as good as you would do it, but some people are like, no, I'm too much of a control freak. I need to do the corporate model. But we have an entire YouTube video that actually talks about all the models, because it's not just franchise or corporate. There's a licensing and there's JV, and there's the software model as well. So listen to that full episode as well. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you like and subscribe. I will tell you, we've noticed that a lot of people, you guys are listening to the episode, but you're not subscribing, and we have a special treat for those of you who want to actually subscribe. We're gonna pick 1 lucky person and give them an extra little treat. Sometimes we might throw in a coaching session for free. There's all kinds of little giveaways, different books that we give away for free. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because there's lots of freebies coming your way. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.